Good afternoon. I'm going to start by doing just a little bit of background on the company for those of you who haven't not aware of us previously. We were founded in 2000, so we've been around for 14 years working in our sector. We work with what we call applied biotechnology, taking biotechnology science and turning it into solutions for the problems that we face in our field in agriculture, aquaculture and food industry. We also work in sustainability science. That's taking the science behind driving sustainable production, again primarily in the food industry, and in technical knowledge transfer. It's an important and there's a huge demand for knowledge out there in our sector. The food industry is very fast moving, and farming and primary production is part of it. Are areas where they're around the world there's massive thirst for knowledge. We're in some very strong growth markets: aquaculture, the fastest growing sector of the food industry, what we call food chain integrity. That means that dealing with the issues that affect the way food's produced. There's a greater awareness of the fact that the way your food produced can affect health, can affect the environment, and the major companies around the world are tackling this hard now, and this is a big part of our work. And we also see a big change in the way in which health solutions are provided in the animal health sector. There's a strong pressure to move away from antibiotics, for example, and into preventative medicine, things like vaccines. And this is a huge growth area. Company is based on ethical principles. We call that the 3 E's. And essentially that means that if you're addressing sustainability, whilst you're addressing environmental issues and ethical issues, you also have to be doing that in a commercially viable, profit-making environment. We've grown considerably over the years. We now have 200 people across 10 countries around the world. And as many of you will know, we had a very successful IPO in December, in which we raised $27.5 million of new money. And we stated there openly that that was to make a substantial investment in our pipeline, our product pipeline, driving that faster, and in building our manufacturing capacity. In terms of our strategies, we have 3 divisions, and we are the Animal Health Division, the Technical Publishing Division, and the Sustainability Science Division. And within those 3 divisions, we have 4 core strategies. The first is to drive strongly on building in high-quality scientific research and development. Alongside that, we recognize that as we're bringing new ideas and new products to market, we need to grow a very strong business development team. And to do those 2 things, we have to continue to attract the highest caliber people inside the company, into the company. And our 4th strategy is that we are going to continue to look to expand with partially through M&A as well as through organic growth. And we're building a professional team in order to enable us to be very, very targeted and successful in that work.
So as an update of what we've been doing, sort of during and since the IPO, as Malcolm says, M&A has always been part of the benchmark growth model. We were actually working on 2 acquisitions at the time of the IPO, which have now been successfully integrated in the business. One is the Arto Marine Research Facility, which we talked about briefly at the IPO. We're now investing $1.5 million there, upgrading, building new facilities to support the development of the pipeline, and the first phase of that will come online in September of this year. The second acquisition that we completed at the time of the IPO was the acquisition of Aqua International in Ireland. They're the only independent veterinary aquaculture service business in Ireland. A very high caliber team. We're delighted they're now part of the group. Their main client is a major client for us, Marine Harvest. So we're building our capacity to support that client on a global basis with a footprint in multiple countries. The biggest investment from the money raised at the IPO is targeted to our manufacturing facilities in Braintree and the Biocampus in Edinburgh. We finished the phase 1 investment at Braintree. This was the plant we bought from Novartis about 2 years ago. But again, a very high caliber team, probably the leading team in veterinary vaccine production, manufacture, but and good quality facilities, but in older buildings. These are sort of 1960s build. We've just finished the completed the customer suite, marketing suite there, to give us the right environment to grow the business going forward, and we will continue to invest there in the coming months to increase our manufacturing capacity. In terms of the Edinburgh build, that's out to tender at the moment, with work due to actually start at the end of the summer, in the autumn, so we're making good progress there. Also, since the IPO, we've opened 2 state-of-the-art diagnostic laboratories in Norway in May, and in Bangkok on the 18th of this month. Both of these are still going through the process of validation of some of the tests, and will be fully online by the autumn, but they're already trading, which we're really pleased to report. Norway's picked up a large contract again with Marine Harvest, key customers I mentioned before. Asia has some government-funded work there in Thailand, but has already been approached by CP, which is one of the world's largest agriculture producers and the largest meat producer in Asia. So we feel we're making good progress.
Turning to the group financials, we announced our interim results on Tuesday. We've seen since during that first period part of this year good growth in revenue. We've seen growth in revenue across all of the divisions. 43% for the group overall. Revenue growth in the animal health division was the largest driver of the overall growth. That division is the largest and not surprisingly drives growth. A proportion of that growth was a result of the launch of one of our key own products in a new market. We launched in Chile just at the end of H1 2013. So we've seen the benefit of full 6 months of trading in that market in the first half of this financial year, and only really half a month in the comparative period. If we then turn to slide 6, and we talk about the result for the period, we clearly complied with IFRS in our interim financial statements. What we've tried to do, though, is also to give greater clarity to you when you're reading those financial statements by splitting the IFRS result out between what we call trading activities and investing activities. Trading activities relate to our core underlying trading businesses, and investing activities capture really items of expenditure that relate to generating future income streams. And this references directly back to the admission document as part of the IPO process, where we talked about our strategy for growth and the way in which we would use the proceeds raised from IPO. And on that slide 6, if you look at the bridge chart on the right-hand side, you'll see at the bottom the labels there describe what we are classifying as investing activities. So we have their exceptional costs, the IPO costs being the largest proportion at 1.3 million expense. But more importantly, perhaps over to the right-hand side of that bridge chart, you'll see 2 bars, one being pre-operational expenses of new ventures, £800,000. This relates to the cost of establishing specifically the 2 new diagnostic businesses that Roland mentioned in Thailand and in Norway, where there is not only CapEx but also OpEx related to commissioning those laboratories and getting them to the point of being operational. And finally, on the application, the investing activities, we have accelerated our investment in R&D, again part of our strategy, up threefold in the first half of this year at £1.1 million. Then if we turn to EPS and cash flow, we've presented here the adjusted EPS from trading activities. Adjusted in the sense, just to give consistent comparison, we've used the current number of shares in issue. And you'll see their good growth from 0.73 pence in half 1 13 to 1.22 pence in half 1 14. From a cash flow perspective, we've presented on this slide a bridge chart to show you how broadly we've started to utilise the proceeds from the IPO. We have on the face there good operating cash generation of 2.3 million, but in terms of the way that we've been expending the proceeds of the IPO, you'll see in the middle of that chart the first red bar from the left, from left to right, is repayment of term debt. We took the decision to repay our existing term debt with the cooperative banks that we were able to rebank to Lloyds, which we completed last week. And then the other bar to highlight is investing activities, where we've been investing in capital expenditure at various of the businesses, and Roland gave you some flavour of that, and also making acquisitions selectively of intellectual property assets that accelerate and expand our new product pipeline. One of those being the Zoetis acquisition that we announced in February, and we'll come back to that shortly. On slides 8, 9 and 10, we've presented a summary of the interim results. I'm sure there'll be questions about that later, so I don't propose to talk too much about that. I would highlight gross profit up in line with revenue, in fact margin up to 42% from 35% in the prior year as a result of the swinging mix towards own products, which are high margin. And also from a tax perspective, you'll see that we've separated out between trading activities at a normal company effective rate, tax charge, and a tax credit, in fact, under investing activities, which relates to R&D tax credits or reliefs that are available to us, and also the effect of the exercise of share options pre-IPO, which gives us a good tax credit and therefore cash to come from tax reclaim. Turning to slide 9, the balance sheet, have seen contraction in working capital balance. That's seasonal. There's lower activity generally at the half-year point in product sales. And then moving on very quickly to the cash flow statement. I've talked already about the investing activities. You can see there the 4.7 million broken out between 3 headings: purchase of fixed assets, intangibles, and acquisitions. And just finally to mention that dividends, the 200,000 or circa 200,000 that was paid pre-IPO. As we said at the point of the IPO, we intend to set out a dividend policy, and we will be reviewing that towards the end of the full financial year this year.
Okay, so on to slide 11. What you have here is the 3 divisions, and we picked out some of their key customers. The objective of this slide is to give you a feel for how we can access the food chain at all levels. So we begin with primary research in universities like the University of St Andrews or the Norwegian Veterinary School or the Oxford University, through to companies that supply primary suppliers to the food chain into agriculture, like the animal breeding companies like Aviogen, or pharmaceutical companies like Bayer or Novartis or Merck, and through to the actual farming companies themselves. Marine Harvest, one of our major customers, one of the largest aquaculture company in the world, or First Milk is another customer, a big dairy company in the UK. And from there we also continue right through to having customers who are retailers like Marks and Spencer or Tesco, or multiple restaurant chains like McDonald's, KFC. So by working, by having customers and work streams at all levels across the food chain, we have vision about the changes taking place, the evolution of the food industry, and that also gives us early insight and the early opportunity to develop new product streams and new opportunities that arise from that. Moving on to the divisions themselves, the largest division is Animal Health, and just picking up some of the operational highlights of what we've been working on since the IPO. One of the things that we were clear we were going to do was continue to drive the pipeline harder, and we've been doing that. We've been building the R&D team. We've increased the R&D team, and we've also increased the number of products in the pipeline. That's up by 10 since the IPO. And taking the pipeline in general, we are feeling confident about progress with the pipeline, and we feel that we have a unique opportunity, which, if anything, is growing and increasing as we progress with this work. As part of that expansion, Mark mentioned that we'd undertaken the acquisition of the Zoetis aquaculture vaccines division. That brought us in prototype and vaccines in development, and as well as some unique technology and vaccine development equipment. And we also acquired some other technologies from other third-party developers, which is helping to drive our program and bringing with them other prototype vaccines. So some of these new products in the pipeline come from those acquisitions, and we're actively evaluating quite a few other opportunities in a similar way. In terms of our vaccine manufacturing program, we identified at the IPO the opportunity to build a strong and exciting business, contract manufacturing for other pharmaceutical companies. The manufacturing of veterinary vaccines is a fairly exclusive area, very technically, you need to be very technically competent, and you need to have very specialized facilities, and there aren't many people capable of doing that. And yet at this time, the big pharmaceutical companies are looking to outsource more and more of their manufacturing. So this is a big opportunity for us, and to access that opportunity, we've been expanding our facilities. Roland mentioned the work streams going on, the building of new capacity at both Braintree and at the new, what will be a state-of-the-art vaccine manufacturing facility on the Edinburgh biocampus. And going along with that, we are beginning to land the first contracts. The first of the new contracts is actually in production now. We've been shipping against that in this month. We've got two more nearing the technology transfer phase, where we actually bring them into our production system, and we have numerous other proposals and tenders on the table at the moment, and discussions going on with large companies who can become clients as we go forward. In terms of the service side, we mentioned the two new laboratories, which add to our service capability here in the UK and in the USA. Again, this is state-of-the-art laboratories that we just completed building, and the business opportunities there look really strong. And Roland mentioned the purchase in Ireland of the veterinary practice there. This is important for us because Ireland is a leader in organic production, organic agricultural production. It's a growing business, a strong demand for that product, and we want to play our part in the development of the systems and the quality systems that go with that. Looking at the Sustainability Science Division on page 17, this is a smaller division but important for us, and here again, since the some highlights since the IPO, we acquired the Arto Marine Research Facility. We've now called that FAI Aquaculture. We're investing heavily in there. There's $1.5 million going in to expand the capability there. This is a unique resource, and virtually none of our competitors have anything like it, and it advantages us considerably, both in our vaccine development work, but in our building relationships with the emerging aquaculture industries around the world. We've also invested money in vaccine testing facilities on our research farm in Oxford. Again, this is a new venture for us. It's a nice business. There's a demand for that from our own vaccine manufacturing team, but also from other pharmaceutical companies as well. In terms of the technical publishing division, again, some operational highlights here. I think the first thing to say that this is a time of significant growth for us. We've been investing, as with the Sustainability Science Division, we've been investing in the division for a period of time now, investing in growth, and we're starting to see the sales coming through strongly now in technical publishing, with nearly all of our revenue streams growing, and this is very, very encouraging for us. We're the most widely read agricultural publications in the world. We have a global audience of over 6 million readers, and this is a big readership, and the idea behind this division was to build the readership, and then as we had achieved that and we got their loyalty and support for our publications, we would then start to leverage that, monetize that readership. Since the IPO, we've been launching some more new products there. Our first Russian language publication, agritimes.ru, which is now our fastest growing publication, and our first companion animal publication, petsite.com, which we launched in response to demand from the big pharmaceutical companies who wanted a similar publication to our food animal publications that they can advertise and publish technical information on. We also made an acquisition right at the end of the period We acquired one of our competitors in technical book publishing arena, Old Pond Publishing, publishing in the agricultural sector, brought us 450 new book titles. Good for us because they were strong in areas where we were maybe not quite so strong, in the dairy sector, in the equipment sector. And along with that came 120 new authors, the leading writers and thinkers in the arena. And at the same time, our distance learning programs, our online training and education programs have also seen pretty dynamic growth, student numbers up by 90%. So again, this is it's exactly what we're looking for, and we expect to see that continue to grow dynamically from here on. And we have other new programs nearing launch.
So in terms of the outlook, well, when we set Benchmark up 40 years ago, it was on the back of we recognised that humanity was at a bit of a crossroads in the food chain in particular, which drove our modelling of the business at the time. That's kind of been vindicated a little bit this year by our own government, who brought back the Longitude Prize, and they took advice and they identified the top 6 issues that society needed to address right now. 2 out of the 6 is right at the heart of Benchmark's work, and that is the building of a sustainable food chain and addressing the issue of the resistance to antibiotics. There was actually voted on yesterday by the public, and they chose the top issue is the resistance to antibiotics. I think we are at a point now where society recognises it is not optional to address this concern. It's a demand. We have to deal with it because otherwise we will run out of road with them. That's partly what drove our thinking. The first place where there will be restrictions on use will be in the food chain, which is why we've had a strong focus on investing in biologicals and why we are very, very optimistic about the future of our manufacturing plants and our investment in our own pipeline. In terms of our markets, aquaculture continues to grow apace. It's now, some of you may have heard us say this before, but it's now bigger than the beef industry globally, and it's in growth, whereas the beef industry is static or in many countries in decline. Animal health, I've just touched on it with the antibiotic story, but as the value of our animal protein goes up, the spend on animal health goes up consequentially because the animals are worth more. Farmers are prepared to invest more in maintaining productivity and tackling health issues. So the health market is growing. Sustainability science, we're seeing a reset now in the food chain. We're seeing food companies that maybe could have purely relied on composition within their supply chain now having to rebuild their supply chain based around partnerships, long-term strategic partnerships, and a greater investment in technical understanding as how to drive efficiencies in that food chain. And partly off the back of the state visit, we had the Irish President visit us in the request to come see us at our farm in Oxford this spring. We've had, but also this resetting of supply chains. We've had a lot of inquiries from food companies now to see if we can help them in that work, which is exciting for us. Matt has just mentioned the technical publishing division. We had quite a nice little bit of news last night. The Scottish Government are now providing bursaries for students wishing to take our sustainable aquaculture course, so they'll pay 70% of the fees, which is quite a nice little fillip in there as well. So we've, as you heard, we've got an ongoing investment, major investment into our manufacturing. We've established a very successful M&A team in the sense that we are dealing with quite a lot of opportunities now. We're very pleased with the way we're able to cope with that workload. It's not disrupting the running of the business by managing that both with internal and external support. And I guess you could say, we can feel from that we do have considerable confidence in the future of this business. We're really excited. Going through the IPO has definitely created opportunities for us. Being a PLC is opening some doors that maybe would not have opened as quickly before. So yeah, we're fairly bullish about the future.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We've already had a number of questions come in, so we'll start with one from Charles. which is where do you perceive to be the biggest growth area for Benchmark in terms of product sales and geographical location?
Okay, I think we would say that vaccines is going to be the biggest growth area for us going forward. We're absolutely confident of that. Location, well, initially I think Asia, but I think Latin America will be very strong as well going forward. So I think it's the Southern Hemisphere where we're going to see the really dynamic growth in vaccines.
Thank you. Next question from Bruce. Can you explain the increase in overhead costs in 2014 and following years between the projections circulated at the IPO and those that we published this week? I think overheads were forecast to be 10 million and now they're up to 14.6.
Okay, well, fundamentally the analyst forecasts haven't changed. If you look at the revenue, gross profit and then the net profit numbers, they're pretty much the same numbers. There has been some reformatting of those notes to bring them in line with our chosen formatting that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the income statement, to seek to reflect trading activities as distinct from investing activities. So I suspect the numbers that you are quoting there are as a result of that reformatting, and fundamentally we're not seeing the overhead base of the business expanding beyond what was put forward by the analysts. The overhead base clearly is growing on the basis that we're a growing company, and we're investing in the infrastructure to deliver that future growth. The investing activities, if you take the 14.6 for example, are included in that number. So we expense all of our R&D expenditure for 1.1 million I mentioned earlier. And there are exceptional costs as well of the IPO and acquisitions. So fundamentally, they are the same numbers. They have been reformatted, so I suspect that's what's causing what you're seeing there.
Richard would like to know, given the size of your operations in Scotland, have you made any contingency plans for the referendum vote in September?
We're going to rename Malcolm Pie.
No, we don't really need to, because we're in Scotland because for reasons that are, you know, we for particular reasons. We have quite a big business in Scotland in aquaculture that we serve, and we need to be there to do that. And our research programs at the Modern Research Institute in Edinburgh and the new Biocampus factory are placed in that location because this is kind of a bit of a Silicon Valley of animal health. You know, you've got the Roslin Institute, the Modern Research Institute, the Gates Research Foundation, the Dick Vet School, and numerous other, you know, high quality research and development programs running in a very small area around there, and we deliberately place the business there. And to be fair, we've been very well supported by the agencies and by the Scottish Government in so doing. So we don't feel that there's any great threat, and in fact, you know, I think there's potentially more opportunity arising out of locating the company in Scotland.
Thank you. Another one from Ian. Can you expand on the relationship with CP in Thailand and the stage it's at, the extent of the relationship, and any products to be provided?
Well, it's early days. We have got a relationship with them. We've worked in their supply chains, working with them, auditing and on to a general development. I think what they're, as I say, we only opened the facility on the 18th. Of this month. I think what's exciting is that they've approached us specifically because of that facility. We didn't make a big song and dance about it until we had something to show people. So we'll be able to update people, you know, how that relationship's developing, you know, next time round. But I would anticipate there being, you know, a visit fairly quickly from them. But yeah, it's the fact that we have the ability to deliver very specific diagnostics and help them drill down some of the challenges we know they're facing. So that's great, because it means our reading of the market was correct.
Yeah, we've recruited a really high caliber team for our Asian business. So A lot of those people are already working in their different roles previously with parts of the CP organisation and indeed the other major producers in the arena. And so what we've done is pulled them together and provided them with the scientific capability, the diagnostic tools that we need to provide an enhanced and commercial service to the industry. And this is the first time that somebody's done that. So you know, it's kind of an open field, and I think that's partly explains why there's been such an enthusiastic response from the industry there.
Thanks. The next one, again, from Bruce, pertains to your rate of growth in terms of the increase in revenue from 2013 to 14 being 10%, but then 30% growth from 2014 to 15 up to 41.9 million. Can you give a little bit more detail on what's going to drive the increase, and is everything still in place to deliver this as planned?
Yeah, that's coming from a number of areas. We see the toll manufacturing business growing. We see new products being launched. We see organic growth in our existing businesses, so both the services business, the publishing business, and the research and consultancy businesses. So really, the projection looks big, but it's because we can see that there's you know, pent-up growth coming through in over a number of areas. It isn't just coming from one part of the business. And 30% growth rates, it's the sort of rate that we have been achieving throughout our life, so we're fairly comfortable with that rate of growth.
If anyone else would like to ask a question, again, you can just submit them through the system using the red button on the right-hand side. Otherwise, we have our last question. Do you think that the recent spate of big pharma bids and asset swaps, Novartis Glaxo, might dramatically increase your chances of picking up smaller drugs and not seen as core by the new owner?
Good question. Yes, we do. We're in a good position because we're a collaborative company. We work with many of the big pharmaceutical companies at various points in our business, so we have strong relationships with them. We've already got a track record of successfully acquiring products and technologies and deploying them maybe in other sectors, or you know, getting into markets with them which the company itself wasn't able to access or didn't have some priority on its list. So I think we're a good partner to do just what the question suggests. And I think you're right. I think the opportunity will be bigger because big pharmaceutical companies, many of them are not so committed to animal health as they are to human health, and so they are looking for ways to drive value in the human health side of their business, and are perhaps content to allow some of the opportunities in the animal health side to go to others while they focus on what they consider to be their core. And that presents up more opportunities for us. And we can see the rationalisation of the industry also. You know, you get situations where companies are monopolied out of certain products or product sectors. Again, that creates opportunity. So yes, we believe that the question is a good one, because I think there will be a lot more opportunity going forward over the next 4 or 5 years.
Lovely. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming along this afternoon, and if there are any further questions later on, please feel free to drop me an email. Otherwise, thanks very much.
Thank you.